I just asked AI, when are we going to see an XRP supply shock considering all of the ETF approvals and also how the ETFs have been performing? And when I got back is actually quite shocking. We're to be addressing this, we're going to be talking about it. But first, let's address a few things because we've been hearing about a supply shock happening on XRP for a bit of time now. I would argue since about roughly the summertime. And, with a supply shock for, a project like XRP, a lot of people will just immediately look at the supply and say there's absolutely no way a supply shock can happen. But this is the difference between XRP and most other projects in this space that have a large supply. Number one, there's a lot of XRP escrowed. There's 34+ billion XRP in escrow right now. Yes, Ripple will continuously release a certain amount every single month. We know that this is the case. However, XRP is a little bit different in the sense of even outside of the Ripple escrowed amount. You also have public companies lining up. You also have institutional players that want to lock up XRP. You also have liquidity pools on the XRP ledger that are also locking up, a certain amount of XRP. And then you also have retail buy in XRP. You have a big network effect just based off of that alone, not even thinking about utility, not even thinking about institutional and DeFi initiatives, things like that. XRP is in a unique position because of how much demand there is for XRP that also heightens the probability of a supply shock happening. Now, when it comes back to XRP, the biggest thing that everyone has been saying is, public supply is dropping in a big way. And that mainly goes back to exchanges and how much supply exchanges have. Again, going off of the balance alone, these are the top wallets we could see. And by the way, exchanges, there's multiple exchanges here. Like we could go and look down the list. But the main thing that we're looking at with a lot of these exchanges that, there's really not a crazy amount of XRP on a lot of these exchanges. Even Binance only has a little over 2 billion compared to, other projects that have a massive, pool of tokens on some of these exchanges. It's interesting to see how much supply is getting eaten away real quick before we continue on with the video. Decent Wallet is having their largest sale of the year up to 40% off. If you want to secure your crypto on a cold storage device, now is the best time to lock in on a Decent Wallet where a single pack is 30% off and a double pack is up to 40% off. Even if you have a Decent Wallet already. Maybe you have a friend or a family member in crypto that also wants to store their crypto on a cold storage device to ensure that it is fully secure. Why not buy them this for the holiday season? If you guys do want to go and get this deal right now, there's going to be a link down in the description below. This is the largest sale of the year. This won't be back for another year. So if you guys want to lock in now, it's the best time. Now with that being said, let's dive on in back to the video. And with Binance, we can actually track that over here from CryptoQuant. So just going back a whole year ago, right? We could see that at times there was like over 3+ billion XRP in reserve. Today, this has fallen to about like 2.7 billion. And if we're looking at the all-time view here, is this around like the average? Sure it is. However, this is a very significant low amount of reserves on a public exchange. One of the largest public exchanges, by the way. Year to date, we could see the supply on Binance falling in a big way, even when the price is falling as well. And if it's not just Binance as well, like even if we're going off of some of these additional names, let's just go off of like BitThumb, for an example. Right? So this one is starting to see increased reserves. We could see it, jumping over time. However, if we look at, just like the last week or so, we could see 1.8 billion. This fell slightly. I know that this is not like a massive drop or anything like that. It's only like a couple million. But we're still starting to see, the supply on these exchanges getting eaten a bit. BitThumb is very small compared to some of these other exchanges, but it's still one to look at. On Bitfinex, we see a very sharp drop here as well. Bitfinex only has about like 47 million XRP left in reserves, but we could just track this across the board, even BitGet as well. You know, BitGet just recently had a big spike here, but they only have like 100-some million. So across the board, outside of just a few of these exchanges, Bybit, we've been seeing a fall on Bybit as well. This is the year to date, it's the 1 year. This is the all-time as well. You know, again, almost every single one of these exchanges is seeing a drop in reserves. And I find it very interesting to really kind of track this because, again, it's not going to happen all at once. But over time, we're going to continuously see the amount of reserve dropping and dropping and dropping because, again, we're starting to see the supply getting eaten more and more. Now, again, it goes back to the ETF flows. The ETF flows have been very, very bullish. In fact, Chad Steingraber did put out a great post regarding the Franklin Templeton's day one of flows. So we have about 32 million XRP now in assets under management on just day one total for the day, about 79.2 million XRP taken. Because again, this is 32 million in USD. So overall, about 79 million XRP taken off of public supply. We have over here 80 million XRP taken in assets under management per day, 400 million in 1 week, 1.6 billion in 1 month, 19.2 billion in just 1 year. By the way, this is just from one name. Now obviously this is a little bit inaccurate because we're not going to see this amount of demand every single day, but it goes to show you that, you know, if we do continuously see a significant amount of demand for these ETF products, the supply is going to be eaten away. So I did ask AI, like analyzing the XRP ETF inflows over the last 7 trading days. Because again, it's not the last 7 days itself, the last 7 trading days. How long will it take for a supply shock to become a reality? And we have over here, and this is what Grok said. Based on recent market data, as of November 27th, XRP spot ETFs have seen explosive growth since their launches in mid-November. The last 7 trading days, November 18th through the 26th, excluding weekends, reflects a surge driven by new products from issuers like Franklin Templeton, Grayscale, Bitwise, and Canary Capital. Cumulative inflows since inception now exceed 587 to 622 million across 10 trading days, with the most recent week accounting for roughly 60 to 70% of the total, 350 million to 430 million. This pace outstrips Solana ETFs by 568 million over 20-plus days and signals strong institutional rotation into XRP amid broader crypto outflows. Daily inflows they averaged about 50 million per trading day in this period, but with variability peaking at 164 million on November 25th, with Franklin and Grayscale debuting and dipping to 35.41 million on November 26th. Here's a breakdown of estimated daily net inflows aggregated across major ETFs sourced from So Value, CoinGlass, and issuer reports. So estimated daily inflow, we could see here. They're in 35 to 40 million on November 18th, November 19th, 45 to 50 million November 20th, 50 to 55 million. Again, the 21st 35 to 40, the 24th 89 to 100, 164 on the 25th, and then November 26th was 35.41 million. And we see here the amount locked. Okay, so the 7-day total was 354 to 420. That's 200 to 250 million extra P locked. Okay, that's in just 7 days. Even on the low end, let's just say